see. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song. Maybe... What is that one? Everyone always sings it. I hear it at weddings all the time. Friends in Low Places. I've heard that quite a few times. Or the other one that I hear at weddings, which I don't really understand, is the Neon Moon. I think Garth Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I've listened to that song so many times. I'm like, is that really a wedding song? It's kind of different.
It is.
But I don't know. I go there to go photograph the weddings, do my job, but sometimes I hear that song and I'm like, this doesn't sound like a wedding song.
No, I think it's easily singable.
Yeah,
That's probably why people like it.
I think so.
Let's see. If you had a time machine, would you go back and fix your past mistakes or see your future?
See the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think looking back in my life, I think if a lot of things didn't happen the way they did, I don't think I would be where I'm at right now. I think I'd see the future.
Good answer. Good answer. Let's see. What city have you not been to yet that's on your bucket list?
I
know you like to travel a lot.
Like to travel. We love to travel. I'd still say Paris.
Oh, that's where my daughter just went.
Yeah, I saw the Eiffel Tower earlier.
Yeah. I said, bring me an Eiffel Tower from the Eiffel Tower. So she did. She took it up for a picture up
nice.
Here. And then she had her friend's brother take it up there.
Oh, that's great. We were planning on going. My wife and I and our friends, we had all set up our trip to go to Paris and London and Brussels in 2020.
Oh,
and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so our airlines canceled our flight. And so we weren't able to go. But I still want to go.
It's a good bucket list city. Okay, that's all I have for right now.
Okay.
Let's start out. You grew up in Lockhart.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Grew up in Lockhart, born there 45 years ago. Just last week, I turned 45.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you so
That's
much. Right. Grew up there. That's all I knew really for the first 35 years of my life.
Yeah.
And then finally moved to Austin. But I still stay connected with the town, working with the school district and police department, sheriff's department, just like doing their headshots, things like that. Working with different organizations. I love being able to give my time with my photography, but also just time in itself. And getting to see the town grow has been really
it's
neat.
grown a lot.
A lot.
It's grown so much. Like, I worked out there in 2018, 2019, and it's even every time I go out there to shoot a house, I'm like, where are all these neighborhoods popping up from?
Yeah, it's a totally different town from what I grew up in. I think now there's more options for people to enjoy. Mm-hmm. Back then we didn't have anything like that.
Yeah.
In high school, barbecue, that was it, or McDonald's, and that's where I worked for a few years when I was in high school.
The one by the Walmart or the
McDonald's. It's
on the corner,
close to on the way to Walmart. Yeah, out that way. I think just seeing the town grow the way it is, I know a lot of people will say, well, we don't like it. A lot of people will say it's great. I'm kind of in the middle where it's like, I hate seeing the small town go, but I also understand that's the way this area is going. And so you kind of have to learn how to live with it. And
hold on to the charm.
Yeah.
At least, the history of it.
I think it still has that small town feel as well, but I also know that it is growing and that's the way this whole area is going. Mm-hmm. I think people can still hold on to those same feelings and I respect that. I also respect that people want to see it grow, but you're not going to make everyone happy. It's just, life is not like that.
Austin's getting so expensive that people are looking to flee places like Buda or Kyle or Lockhart.
Even Maxwell.
And Maxwell.
That's about to blow up as well. There's so many people moving out that way.
It's crazy. I have to ask, what's your favorite barbecue in Lockhart?
Oh, man, that question's always asked me.
Mm-hmm. If you had to pick one,
if I had to pick a favorite barbecue place, I would still say Chisholm Trail Barbecue.
Yeah.
I like going, and it's not a slight against any other places, but I like going there still.
It's the local homegrown.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Non-touristy place.
Yeah. And so if I'm going to go there, if I'm going to go to Lockhart and have barbecue, that's where I'll go. Mm-hmm. Or go buy it from in the drive-thru, take it home or go eat with my mom or something like that. Mm-hmm. But Smitty's, close second. I like Smitty's a lot. Might be my second favorite. But they're all great to me.
Yeah, they are.
I've enjoyed them all.
What's your favorite non-barbecue place there?
Favorite non-barbecue place?
If you had to tell an out of towner, don't get barbecue in Lockhart, get
Market Street Cafe. And now they're not downtown anymore. They're on State Park Road. They have some really, really good food out there.
Nice.
I really like that.
I like that.
They have a really good chili that I liked a lot. And their sandwiches, they're pretty amazing too.
Nice. So tell me, so you got out of Lockhart when you were 35?
35, 2014.
How'd that come about?
So a good friend of mine, we met at church about 17 years ago now. He was from Laredo, and we met in our Sunday school singles class, and became really good friends right off the bat. Hung out, served in church together in singles ministry, and then with youth. And we had talked about becoming roommates. Well, then he ended up moving to Florida after his culinary school was finished in Austin. He got an internship at Disney World.
Oh, wow.
And then when he came back, he moved back home to Laredo. And then he moved to Austin. And so he had talked about becoming roommates again, and it just didn't work for me at the time. And then 2014 came along, and then he said, "Hey, you want to be roommates?" I'm like, thought about it. I'm like, I don't really need to leave Lockhart.
Right.
But why not? Let's try it. And so we found a house in East Austin, and that's how we became roommates and how I moved to Austin.
Nice.
And I think it was good for me.
Yeah.
I think it was good for me to get out and just get to know a different community. Not only that, see what it was just like to be outside of Lockhart, in a big city. And I remember sitting at the H-E-B and Mueller in the parking lot my first night there and thinking, why did I move? Why did I move to Austin? I didn't really need to. My business was going well.
Yeah.
I didn't really need to move to Austin for business. But I'm going to make the most of this. And I'm glad that I did, because it helped me, I think, my business grow even more. And I think me as a person grow as well.
Nice. What were you doing before photography?
Delivery driver.
Oh, really?
I delivered tuxedos and wedding dresses for a company based in Houston at the time. Company's no longer around, but I would drive from Lockhart to Houston, 3 hours each Tuesday and Wednesday. Drop off tuxedos, pick up wedding dresses, pick up tuxedos. It was a rental company. And I would drive them to the store in Austin and drop off at different locations around Austin. But seeing their catalogs with weddings and tuxedos, wedding dresses and tuxedos, that really inspired me to get into photography. I saw those pictures and I thought, I really want to do that. That looks fun. I think I can do it. I don't know anything about photography.
And you just went right for wedding photography.
I went right for wedding photography.
You just jumped right in. Most people don't do that.
No.
I stayed away from it as long as possible.
Okay. Well, I
still do.
You still do. Yeah. I mean, and I've enjoyed all of it. I've done it for a long time now. But to jump into it was a little overwhelming, because I thought, I don't know if I can do this, or if I'm going to do it, I don't know how good I can be at this.
Right.
And so it really was just jump right into it. I mean, you know how you hear about people that learn how to swim, they get thrown into the water and they just do it?
Yep.
That's pretty much what it is. I didn't shadow anybody. I didn't really practice on a lot of people. I just decided, let's do it. And if I'm going to go backwards in time, I did shoot a wedding for a friend of mine back in 2000 on film. And that was it. I mean, and then in 2007, another one. And with those digital hybrid cameras, the lens doesn't come off, that kind of thing. I tried that and it worked. And I said, okay, if I'm going to leave this company, and if I'm really going to do photography, I'm going to have to jump right into it. Yeah. And so I bought a camera, a DSLR. It was a Nikon D40.
Oh, my first one was a D70.
Oh, D70. So yeah, the D40, like 6 megapixels or something like that.
Yep.
Kit lenses, that they came with. And at the time, in 2008, that was pretty high level, I think.
It was a chunk of change. I remember back then thinking, I hope, I make my money back on this camera.
I think I paid about $700 for that camera, for the whole set. And I just did it. And I thought, okay, let me get this wedding not out of the way, but let me get my feet into this wedding and do it. My friend was getting married, so I went ahead and did it. Then another friend asked me if I could do their wedding, and it just kept going and going and going. And then I started booking weddings every year.
And were you still working for the
No, I
tuxedo
had
place at
actually
that time?
quit.
You had.
I had actually quit.
That's. I mean, I did when I left Lockhart Ford. I did that too and jumped into the real estate photography, thinking now or never.
Yeah.
No safety net.
No safety net at all.
Like,
I mean,
I'll get a loan, I guess, if I have to.
I mean, when you're going from something that's paying you twice a month, every 2 weeks, into something that you don't know where that's going to come from, it's a little daunting. It's a little overwhelming because you have expenses you have to pay. You got to pay for equipment somehow. You've got to pay your bills still. You got to pay for a car, your insurance, everything, everything. And so I bought that camera thinking, let me practice on some people. And I would do that for my church. You know, my friends, my single friends say, hey, let me practice with you. I need to practice. And so in doing that, I learned how to get better with my camera, how to use it in different situations, lighting situations, morning, direct sunlight, evening, golden hour, things like that. And so what happened was my job as a truck driver, at the time, gas prices were going up and diesel was going up. And the day that I made that decision to tell my boss, he tells me, hey, we're going to move you to part-time. And I figured this is the window. This is the door.
Before you even told him.
Before I even told him. And I said,
that's God going.
Yeah, I really think so. Yeah. And his name was Mark, and I still stay in contact with him. He had a feeling that, I didn't tell him, but he had a feeling that I might be leaving soon. So I worked there for about one more month, and then it was time to go. July 9th, 2008 was when I took my final ride from Houston back home to Lockhart. A coworker dropped me off and told me good luck, and that was it.
Wow.
I went home and I said, this is it. I mean, now I've got to make this work. And, there's a lot of prayer, things like that.
Yeah.
And,
a lot of faith.
A lot of faith. And it wasn't easy at first. Even though I had those few weddings, I didn't have all these other photo sessions lined up. And I said, I've got to do something. God, let me know what I should do, And I remember my mom and I took my mom to the wash area. We were doing laundry. I was helping her out. And there's a lady there. And she had maybe at the time, a 5-year-old daughter. And I had these 4x6 postcards that I had made at Walgreens that had some of my pictures, and they weren't that great. Pictures weren't that great. I'd just been doing it for a little bit, like a collage of photos on this 4x6 print, and it had my information on it. And I remember having one in the car, so I went out to the car and I gave it to this lady. And I said, ma'am, I'm a photographer here in Lockhart. She didn't know who I was, and I was not well established at the time. People knew who I was, but they didn't know I did photography.
Right.
So I gave it to her and I said, I'm a photographer and I wanted to know if you'd like to have a free photo session for your daughter, or you and your daughter. And she said, well, for my daughter, that'd be fine. And so we set up the time and we did it. And then I think after that, things started slowly opening up. People started seeing or hearing about what I was doing. And so I started getting a few more calls from people. Now, at the time, 2008, the only thing that was around was MySpace.
Right.
If Instagram was available for college students, but not the way it is now. There was no Instagram. There was no, and I said Facebook, but Facebook, like I said, for college students, but there's no Instagram at the time.
Right.
So how am I going to get my name out there? I started using Craigslist, MySpace, or just emails.
Do you still have your MySpace page open? I think mine is.
I think mine's still there, but I don't think I can log in because I don't remember what email or information.
I think I check on it every now and then to see if they've shut it down. But
I think right now it's mainly geared towards music. I think
that's how it started out.
Yeah, that's how it started
for
out
bands.
Too. That's right. That's right.
Anyway, go ahead.
No. I mean, and that's what I did. And that's how I marketed myself. And then it was all through word of mouth. And even to this day, I think a lot of it's still word of mouth. But as you know, with Instagram and Facebook, it's so big now, and that's how I do it.
Your work is your resume.
Yeah.
So that's one of the great things about being a photographer or videographer is you don't have to have a college degree. I don't have one.
Right.
If you know what you're doing, and here's what I can do, and I can do more of it. People go, you're hired.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's the way it's worked out for me over the past now 15 years. 16 this year, and with photography, you can do so many different things with it.
Right.
You photograph real estate, and I would do a little bit of that, but it's not really my thing. I like doing the sports and the headshots, things like that. But it's been neat to see over the years how far it's come along and how technology has come along with that.
Yeah.
Even these phones are really good. I'm blown away now at what phones can do.
Yeah. I can set that one up as an extra video camera on a tripod and get it in. Once you get it all edited, you never know it was an iPhone.
Yeah.
People make movies on with
it. I've seen that. It's amazing. You see the commercials like that. That's
a low budget film right there.
Yeah.
But it works.
But it works. It works. Yeah. But, looking back, I think things happen for a reason. And I don't know why so many great things have happened for me. I just know that I just put my head down and just went forward and just kept putting the work in, and it's paid off tremendously for me. When
did you start doing like portraits?
2008.
So right around the same time?
Yeah,
during the wedding stuff. You like bridal portraits, and that just turned into family portraits. Yeah, I know you've done. We know each other on social media through mutual friends who you've done their weddings. Bridget and Jay, and you did Amanda and Floridon Frangu.
Yeah.
Their wedding.
Did their wedding.
A bunch of other friends' portraits that are around here and in the area that, like, oh, Adrian did those.
Yeah. And that's been neat, too, because you notice when you start doing work like that, you realize how small a community really is, and you all kind of know the same people.
Right.
I remember Jay and Bridget's wedding down in Rockport, and it was a beautiful day and beautiful venue. Amanda and Floridon's wedding down in... It's actually in Dripping Springs or wherever La Hacienda is. Driftwood. I get those confused. But yeah, it's been neat to see like families grow too from that as well.
And of course the portraits are fun because you can watch the kids grow.
Yeah.
How many? Let's go back to weddings real quick. How many weddings have you photographed? Do you
know? About 290 now.
Wow.
In the 15 years, and I have 5 more left to go.
Yeah,
and then I'm done with that.
You're phasing that out?
Yeah.
Completely?
People say never say never.
Right.
I think for me, it's time. I've done everything I think I can do with it. I've traveled with it. People have hired me and flown me out to different cities to do it. I've gone to Mexico to shoot a wedding on the beach in Playa del Carmen, which is beautiful. But I think for me, at maybe the age that I'm at, it's time for a change. And there's nothing wrong with weddings. I love them.
Right.
I love doing them. But it's not for me anymore right now. Maybe a few here and there, but actively marketing myself as a wedding photographer,
special
not
request. I do portraits still for special request every now and then, but I don't advertise that I do them just because I'm trying to focus on other things.
Yeah.
The real estate stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing that I've learned with the weddings that, they open up other doors to other opportunities.
You meet so many people.
Meet a lot of people, network.
From everywhere.
Yeah.
Like people come in town from other places for weddings. So you meet people from the other side of the country that might come to Lockhart for a wedding.
That's true. That's true.
It's crazy.
It's happened that way a few times.
Yeah.
Not only that, like their families. And it's people think, oh, the weddings kind of build off of each other, and they do. But I really get a lot of families out of the weddings because I meet, people in the wedding party that have a family. Hey, we want you to do our family pictures. Okay, cool, let's do it. That kind of thing. And so out of all those weddings, I'd say a lot of families came out of that. And from those families come other opportunities, high school seniors, sports, headshots for their companies, whatever. That's how it's worked out over the years.
You have a pretty big following, so that's good. You got a good client base built up for referrals too.
Yeah. And what's been good with that is I'm able to, if I can't do something, I have a bunch of friends that are photographers.
Right.
And some of them are newer.
Right. You referred me to people, and I've referred people to you because I don't do weddings.
Yeah. So I've tried to pass that work along to other photographers. Hey, I can't do it, but here's this person that can probably do it, and reach out to them, and they're amazing to work with as well. And I, of course, I have to know the other photographer and see their work, but I feel comfortable in passing their name along to those people.
Well, yeah, because your reputation is at stake as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true.
What is the most unusual place you've done a wedding?
Unusual place.
Like underground in a cave?
No, nothing like that.
Rooftop of a building?
No, nothing like that. They've all been pretty much in churches or like in a hotel.
No riverboats?
No riverboats. No riverboats. Not yet. And probably not anytime soon, but looking at my schedule ahead of time, no, nothing like that.
If we find a riverboat wedding, we'll send them your way.
We can do that.
Let's see. So you got out of Lockhart at 35. When did you meet your wife?
We actually met in 2013.
Rosie?
Rosie. Mm-hmm. We met at a wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
See?
Here in Buda.
Really?
Yeah, here in Buda, yeah. So we met in 2013, and it's so funny because when I was doing the weddings, I always felt like I'm going to meet somebody at a wedding. I don't know how. I don't know when or where. It's going to happen, I think. And so this was December of 2013. It's 27 degrees. We're still doing the wedding outside. Well,
when I shorts?
No, I'm not in shorts. I'm all bundled up. I have a scarf on, all that stuff. And so I get to the wedding venue, not too far from here, actually. And my wife, she's been a hairstylist for a long time. Well, she was doing the hair for the bride at the wedding that I was doing. We're there together. This is the first time she meets me. Now, she knows about me because all of her friends are my mutual friends. And so she knows that I'm a photographer. And she had always seen my work. And so she even told herself that whenever she got married, she would hire me to do it. Her wedding. Okay. Well, she told me that later on. But anyway, I walk upstairs on the second floor of this venue, and my wife is doing the bride's hair. And like I said, the first time I meet her, and she says, "Hey, Adrian, it's nice to meet you." And how do I respond? Oh yeah, nice to meet you too. And that was it. I mean, it was pretty much a cold shoulder. Mode? Yeah, I'm work mode. Yeah. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm thinking about getting the work done. And then later on, she, kind of tells me later on that, or she jokes with me that, hey, you were kind of not very nice that day. And I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean my response that way to her. It's just, I'm working, that kind of thing. She was working too. So I know when professionals or vendors are at a wedding, it's time to work.
Right.
There's no time to play around. You got to work. And so I kind of look back at that sometimes and think, man, I wonder how I responded, that day to her. If I was mean about how I said hi or whatever. I didn't mean for it to sound like that, but it is kind of something funny that we laugh about later on. But that's how we met in 2013. And then 2 years pass. I'm at another wedding, and this wedding is already ending for the day. It's pretty early. Well, the Spurs are in the playoffs.
Your favorite team.
My favorite team. Well, that's her favorite team, I found out. Because she gets on Facebook, and she puts, hey, is anybody going to watch the Spurs playoff game anywhere? And I responded, yes, me and my friend, who's my roommate, we're going to go watch somewhere, and y'all should join us. And so we all met up at Haymaker in Austin. And that's when we watched our first game together. And then after that, that's when we started hanging out, talking. We're hanging out for like a month or so, maybe a month and a half. And that's when I said, hey, this is how I feel. I want to, would you like to go out? We went on dates and stuff like that and just hanging out. And then I would you like to date? And that's when I asked her. And then 6 months later, I proposed to her, and we've been married for it'll be 8 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's flown by, but we've had a lot of fun. It does go by fast. Man. Really fast. But that's how we met, and that's how we, is because having that same love for the San Antonio Spurs, that kind of brought us together. But like I said, going back about weddings, I always told myself I'm going to meet somebody at a wedding, and that's how it happened. And I think the other thing too is, going towards, people dealing with relationships and weddings, things like that, always hope for the best for the couples, that they do last and that they have a great loving relationship. I've never gone to a wedding thinking, this is just a job. I really hope that everything works out. Yeah. I mean, I want that to work out for them. And so when I see younger people, they're, you get on Facebook or whatever and you see people, talking about the relationship or how bad it is, or younger people wanting to get married. And in my mind, I'm like, don't be in a hurry.
Right.
Enjoy your life. Enjoy being single. Get to know who you are.
Yeah, it'll happen when it's supposed to.
It'll happen when it's supposed to. And so with my wife and I was single for a long time. And it was during that time I started building my business and getting to know who I was, getting to see the person that I was. And because I didn't want to go into a marriage thinking I knew everything. I wanted to know who I was first. Right. And then realizing that who I am is going to be joined together with someone else. And I hope that person is ready for marriage as well. And so when we got together, we talked a lot about our past, different things that we went through, different things that we wanted to do in the future. This is even before we were engaged. I mean, just our own goals, that kind of thing. And then after that, I started realizing this is somebody I can see myself with. And then it was a trip back in October of 2015. One of her friends got married, and on our way back from that trip, we drove to Albuquerque. I mean, that's a long drive, man. I don't know.
Just on the spur?
We drove to go see the wedding because she was going to be in it. My wife was going to be in it. Yeah.
I thought you meant after the wedding you drove to
No. Sorry. Let me go backwards. Her friend was getting married in Albuquerque. She was going to be in the wedding. So my wife invited me, my girlfriend at the time, she invited me to go to the wedding, and I wanted to go. I've never been, to Albuquerque or New Mexico, but I always wanted to see what it looked like. Yeah. And we drove from Austin to Albuquerque. That's a good way to get to know someone on a road trip.
You get out in the desert out there, there's not much to look at. You have to have conversation.
Yeah.
Or take a nap.
Yeah. And that was about 12 hours to get there. And I drove pretty much the whole way, and then she drove the last hour to Albuquerque. But coming back, getting to know each other again, really in my mind, I thought, I can really see myself with this person.
No.
And then she told her friend as well that she could see herself with me as well. And I started thinking, okay, this is going a good direction. It was in December of 2015 when I proposed to her, and then we got married in the following year. But, going back to about what I said, relationships, I don't think any of that would have happened if we both didn't realize who we were as single people.
Right.
Getting to know ourselves first, and then opening that door to allow someone to come in and get to know them. I think sometimes with relationships, a lot of people don't do that. And then you start having problems. Or you start having problems because you don't know what the goal is. You don't know what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
I had a really good pastor when I was a single person back in Austin. He's a pastor of a huge church in Dallas now. And I learned a lot about being single and getting to who you are in the eyes of God and appreciating that time. And it really helped me to this day. It helps me to this day. And I think it's great. And I wish a lot of people would get to experience that.
Me too.
Before they step into something big like marriage. Because if they don't, I think it sets up for, it can set up for a disaster. But I think also God is a loving God. And there's grace there. And I think sometimes when things happen, I think some doors can be opened by other people, and maybe they're invited to church, or maybe they hear something on the radio or on TV, and maybe
or a
podcast, and maybe both people see, hey, we want to make this work.
Yeah.
We want to make this work, not just for if there's kids involved, but just for ourselves. We want this to work.
Yeah. I had single time in between my marriages for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And I did a lot of self-reflecting then. And I got to know myself a little bit more then. Like, that was the longest I'd ever been single. And I guess I don't know if I liked myself any better then, but I knew more about why I was the way I was. And then I didn't change it. So she got the dose of me that my ex-wife got until recently, until last year. When you get remarried and you're happy again, and, life's not so bad. Depression kind of goes away for a little while, or creeps in here and there. But it really goes off the rails if you don't take care of it. If you don't deal with what's
Right.
in here, and what's
Right.
in here, what's in here, then it, like you said, it's disastrous.
Yeah.
So that's really good advice. I like it.
Yeah. I think too with sometimes kids are involved.
Yeah.
And you may have kids from a previous marriage or a relationship, and sometimes if that's not, I don't want to say handled correctly, or I'm not saying that's a problem. I think my point is you have to also realize that you're also including other lives, and if your life is not, if you don't know who you are, and then you're bringing someone else in a relationship that might have kids, then you're going to be an influence to those kids as well.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that you're ready for it. Now, my wife and I don't have kids, and we won't have kids, but I have nephews and nieces.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I'm a good example.
You're still a role model.
Yeah, I'm still a role model, even if I don't like it or not. I'm still a role model.
Right. They're going to look up to you, Uncle Adrian, or even your friends' kids.
Your friends' kids as well, and I'm 45. I don't know how old you are, but
51.
You're 51. So you remember back in the 90s, Charles Barkley had that commercial that said, "I'm not a role model."
Right.
And that was a big deal because, and I thought to myself back then, I kind of look up to basketball players, that kind of thing. And then later on, as I got older, I said, no, I'm not a role model. Parents are role models, but sometimes the kids don't have something to look at, or sometimes the kids don't have something to look at as an older adult.
Role model, right?
Yeah, as a positive role model. And then they look at the entertainers. Maybe they start acting like them, or they start looking up to a sports athlete or whatever. And I started realizing later on as I got older, no, kids are always watching. I work with a lot of kids now in the schools, the private schools in Austin area and Lockhart, Little League, whatever. And I realize that kids are always watching. So you have to watch what you say or how you act with other people, how you act with them.
How you act on your social media, because they can access it too.
That's right. And so for me, I'm very aware with the things that I say or do, because, they're always watching. And I have to make sure that if I do say anything, that it's always positive. Now, I like to be informative with people. You see the weather stuff.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get to that in a minute.
Or traffic and all that. But I think it's important to be a good role model, or I hate the word influence, but it's kind of there. You have to be a good example, because people are always watching.
Yeah. And they're going to get influenced by something or someone. So hopefully we're leaving a good impression on these kids.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that. I don't even really check the weather anymore.
Yeah.
I just go to Facebook if there's a storm coming, and I know you're going to tell me where it is and how much hail is in there and how many inches we're getting and what direction it's coming from.
Yeah.
How did you get started on that?
Are
you like a meteorologist by heart?
I think by heart. I mean, it's by heart.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have a friend like that too. Well, two of them, Ashley and Rachel. They're watching.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think it's important to stay informed with weather. Yeah. For me as a photographer, I got to know.
Right.
I got to know ahead of time.
Sure.
I don't want my clients to show up somewhere and then it starts raining. I got to, hey, we need to reschedule.
Yeah.
Or we got to wait till
every
later.
day includes the weather for me too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so
I'm always coming to you.
Yeah. So you realize how important weather is, and for me, I felt like if I can watch what the National Weather Service is doing, maybe pass that word along, or one of the news stations in Austin, pass it along, because some people are on the road.
Right.
Some people don't know. Some people aren't maybe watching their phone, but maybe I'm watching and I can post it. And if people see it, maybe they're safe. I don't know. But the love of weather.
People come to expect it from you now.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe, and that's another thing about being an influencer. I'm like, you don't want to be an influencer, but people are watching.
I think, it's because your personality and your humor keep people engaged to your page. And if you're giving them information as bland as the weather, it could be sunny out, it could be not. But if there's a storm coming, hey, Adrian might know what's up. Let's go over to Adrian's page.
Yeah.
So you were doing that? Were you doing that with sports, or did you try to stop doing it with weather and people told you couldn't do it? I know at one point you said, I'm going to stop making posts about something.
It was probably sports.
You're doing it with sports
and
too.
The traffic thing, and a lot of just the bad news. I was trying to get away from all that. I was trying to just keep more just with the weather. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's like really bad traffic situation, I'll post that. But I try to stay away from all that. The weather is something I think everyone has to deal with.
Yeah. They
want to know how they got to dress for the day. They got to know if it's going to be cold, if cold front's coming in, later in the day or early in the morning, whatever. They don't want to get caught off guard. And I try to make it a little bit lighter on my page. You can see so many bad things on social media.
Right.
People say, oh, social media is bad. I think it can be good.
Absolutely.
Depending on what you put on there.
Yep.
So I try to make it good, and I try not to bog it down with really bad things.
I think there's too much of that out there anyway.
I think people can find it on their own.
Yeah.
If they want to look.
Right.
I try to make it a little bit lighter, or I say something, a dumb story about myself, growing up or whatever. I share things like that. But weather is always been a fascination of mine, even as a kid.
Did you ever want to be a storm chaser?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And I think I probably could have done that. Had I not met my wife, that in 2015, when we started dating, in 2015, I was planning to go to the Midwest and join a storm chasing team. And I'm very glad I didn't do that, because I think it would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
I enjoy being married to my wife, and I love it. The storm chasing thing probably isn't for me. I think maybe I probably would have got a dose of that and said, no, this is not what I want to do. That kind of thing.
Takes a special kind of person to drive into a tornado.
Yeah.
Or in the direction of one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll stand there and watch it if I know it's going the wrong away from me. But if it's coming at me, I'm out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm outside and I'll see the lightning. I'm like, oh, it's a little close. I'm going to stay inside. So I'm thinking, probably storm chasing wasn't for me.
Did you hear they're going to make another Twister?
No, I did not hear that.
The special effects in that movie were ridiculous, but for the time they were. It's like Sharknado is now.
Yeah.
When you look at Sharknado's CGI, it's like, it's kind of Twister. There goes a cow flying again. There goes a shark flying again.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they're going to ramp it up with the CGI now.
It would be interesting, because I remember the first one, like you said, ridiculous effects, but that was it, back in the 90s. That was, Independence Day. I mean, those were the special effects.
One of my favorites. I still watch them both when they come on TV.
Oh, I love Independence Day.
Flipping around like, oh, Independence Day or Twister. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch them.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite movies.
Independence Day. Can't get enough of that one.
That's right. I saw the second one. Not too great.
Yeah.
Wasn't crazy about that one.
Speaking of Will Smith, do you see they're going to do another I Am Legend?
I haven't even seen the first one, but I did not know that.
The first one is so good. The first time you watch it, you're going to wait for dialogue, because he only has his dog.
Okay.
So there's a lot of him talking to his dog or not talking at all.
Wow.
Because if you make too much noise, then the zombie's going to out get you. But
okay.
There's a lot of quietness in the movie, but it's so good, and maybe it's Will Smith's comeback.
Yeah.
He's going to need something to come back from the slap. The slap heard around the world.
Oh, man, that was crazy. Man, I saw that the first time. I thought it was a joke, but
I did too.
Later on, realizing that was not a joke.
Yeah, once you saw Chris Rock's face, and you're like, oh, that wasn't planned.
No.
Because he looked shocked.
Yeah, he did. He did. So. I started thinking, when I saw that happen, I started thinking back to the show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Mm-hmm.
And, Chris Rock was a guest on that show.
Really?
And, yeah, I think he was a guest in one of those episodes.
I'll have to go back and look at that.
And seeing that happen, I thought, man, these guys are like longtime friends. That's pretty sad if this is real. And it was real.
Yeah, he was going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing everybody gets grace. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Everybody likes a comeback story. Look at Tiger Woods.
There you go. That's right.
So if you weren't a photographer right now, what would you be doing? Because you wouldn't be driving wedding gowns and tuxedos still.
No.
What kind of other passions does Adrian have?
Yeah, growing up, so I went to school for drafting and design.
Mm-hmm.
So houses and drawing up floor plans were kind of my thing as a kid, because I love drawing. Mm-hmm. And so I started, the tablets of graph paper.
Yep.
I'd get that, get my ruler out.
Yep.
Just start doing that stuff. So going to homes and photographing them, when I used to do that a lot, I would just kind of see how they use their space and thinking, oh, I would change this. Oh, I would change that. That kind of thing. But maybe something with drafting and design. Because the other thing too was to design shoes.
Really?
When I was growing up as a kid, I wanted to draw, shoes, for Nike or whatever, and I would draw these shoes, and I remember sending them some of my ideas, and they sent a letter back saying that, thank you for your submission, but we can't use these.
How old were you?
I think the first time I did it, I was probably 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool to get a letter back from them.
At least they responded.
But
that's really cool.
Yeah, and so I would, even to this day, I look at people's shoes and think, oh, that's cool. That's a cool design, or how would I make that design better? Or how would I make it look different? Or how would the colors look on that? A different color scheme. So I wanted to design shoes for them. And so I remember getting that letter from them and thinking, oh, well, it says I need like a patent. Well, then you start looking into patent lawyers. And when you're 15 years old, you start realizing, oh, this is really expensive, that kind of thing. And so I think some of that kind of discouraged me from going into that area. But I think something with CAD or drafting, that's probably what I would be doing now if I wasn't doing photography. Yeah. I wasn't very good with math, so I don't think I would be doing meteorology. I just was not good with science.
Were you good with geometry?
No, not at all.
Really, geometry was. I made a B in geometry, but I barely passed any other math classes. It didn't involve money.
Yeah.
Money math, it's no problem. Maybe it's because money was involved. But.
Right.
But yeah, I used to draw a lot too, and I still do. Every now and then pick it back up.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a house or a floor plan or something.
Yeah. Have you ever done a full-fledged floor plan?
I did many years ago. I don't think I still have it. But when he was like a future house I wanted to build.
Yeah.
Gosh, this was probably 20 years ago. So, been a while. And it was all going digital at that point.
Yeah.
Everything was computer-aided design. CAD.
AutoCAD 3D now, it's been around for a while, and then they have all the other CAD programs that they have, like surveying and things like that. I had a few full floor plans, and I look back at them now, I'm like, this is so ridiculous. I don't see how this would work.
Yeah.
Because the rooms are super huge. I think like a master bedroom was like, I don't know, maybe like 700 square feet. It's big.
It's big.
It's huge. I mean, who's going to have a master bedroom like that? And then I started going into these big homes to do photography. I thought, yeah, these are the houses that I was drawing up.
Right.
That kind of thing.
It's weird going into old houses built in the 70s and 80s even, because the kitchen's completely separate and walled off. And a lot of the and now it's like, knock that wall out and open up the room.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't they think about that before? Because it costs them money to put that wall in.
Yeah.
All they needed was a load-bearing, support, and then you could open up the room.
Yeah.
But I guess people wanted privacy. I don't know. I look back at some of those houses and wonder why they were built that way.
Yeah.
But we get smarter, I guess. Things change. Kids, you get more space to run around. You get a family room.
Oh yeah. I think too. I in my mind, I kind of like the kitchens that are closed off. Because it kind of keeps the aroma of the food over in one room and doesn't go into the living room. You know how some of them are open, just you smell up the whole house.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
When I cook bacon, it smells like bacon for a day.
All over the house, right?
All over the house.
Yeah.
Even if we open the windows.
Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there.
Yep.
Computer-aided design. That doesn't really involve meeting a bunch of people. You're a people person, right?
I'm an introvert.
Are you?
Yeah. And if I go somewhere, say go to a party with my wife, she's the extrovert. She's the social butterfly. She likes to talk to everybody. I will find one person and just talk to them. That's it. I may mingle around, but there's always going to be that one person that I'll just talk to one-on-one. And I'm good with that.
Interesting.
It's too much for me to talk to so many different people.
Yeah.
My wife and I have gone, we went to Hawaii recently in July. We went with some friends and talked to my wife the whole time, but also talked to one person one day, one person the other day. Kind of took turns, because it's hard for me to do that with a bunch of people. I can't do that. I'm not the attention seeker. I don't need to be outspoken or anything like that, and I'm okay with that. I'm more comfortable just sitting there and talking to someone one-on-one.
And getting to know them.
And just getting to know them. That's it.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's it.
Obviously like this, but
And so, yeah. And so the one-on-one thing is awesome. I love this right here too. And like with going to weddings, I'm there to do my job. I don't really talk to a lot of people. I'll talk to an assistant that's working with me, or the bride and groom, or both of them, or maybe a few people in the wedding party. Mm-hmm. But I'm not. Sometimes you see these wedding photographers like dancing and all that. Mm-hmm. That's not me. I'm just there to do my job.
You're not out there with your camera dancing?
No. And I've had some brides that want me to join and dance. I'm like, no, I can't do that.
The dance party's the best.
It is, but
I've only really done video for weddings, and that's because of the redundancy factor.
Yeah.
I've got 5 or 6 cameras going. If one fails, I've got any other footage I can use.
Right.
But I like to get in there on the dance floor with the camera.
Yeah.
Get in and out of there.
I think my thing is you're there to work, and people are watching. They want to know that you're a professional.
Well, yeah, you've got your camera in your hand and you're taking pictures.
I know.
Video, you're working.
You're working, but at the same time, I want to look professional. So I try to just do my job. But as am I a people person? Yes, I like talking to people. I can't do big crowds, as in talking to a bunch of people.
Right.
It's just one-on-one.
Especially if you're trying to focus on like a wedding even.
Yeah.
Too,
but I like talking to people. I'd like getting to meet them, get to know their name. Mm-hmm. I see them later on, say hi, that kind of thing. I'm not closed off to people. I just like one-on-one type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
You're not giving up, but you're transitioning more from weddings to more sports and more headshots and commercial branding, like business branding stuff. Yep. How's that going?
It's going well.
Yeah.
I think the sports thing is finally starting to build up. Of course, I work with my hometown, their school district, and the junior high and high school sports teams. Couple of private schools in the Austin area. Probably going to pick up a couple more outside of Austin. Well, closer to where I live next year. And then I'm doing like Little League in Lockhart this year. I do another Little League organization this spring as well. So I'm enjoying doing that, and it's starting to pick up now. And I didn't have a doubt that it would pick up. I just didn't know when. And so I felt like going into 2024 and 25, I had to start making that transition in 2023. I couldn't just get to 2024 and say, oh, I'm done with weddings.
Right.
I'm going to have to slowly...
You book out ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to slowly transition out of this and get into sports. And it's working. Yeah. And I'm very thankful for that. But like the branding stuff, I love doing that stuff. Yeah. I did some pictures for a friend of mine who makes hats, designs hats. Like the Western wear hats, the big ones. And so we did some photo sessions. I did a photo session out in Manor at the ghost town.
I've driven by that so many times.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool place. I did some pictures out there for her, and I think she got some pretty good reaction from those pictures. And she sold some hats that way. And so every once in a while I'll bust those out, and so people can know about her. I like promoting other businesses. I try to do that. Yeah. And I've tried to do that in my hometown as well. Like we talked about, towns growing, Lockhart's growing, things like that. There's new businesses that come into town, and so I've tried to, take a picture of something that they've made or whatever, and just tag them on Instagram, say, hey, this is where you can find it or whatever. Yeah. I like doing that. And I like doing that because when I first started my business, not a lot of people did that for me.
Right. Yeah.
That's the truth. Nobody really promoted me because they didn't really know what I did or how good I was. So now I feel like I want to do that for other businesses.
Because you know how they feel.
Because I know how they feel. Yeah. I want them to be able to get exposure, things like that. And so now the sports, it's opened up other doors to other like select teams. There's always these select teams like softball, baseball, basketball, things like that. And so now I'm getting my foot in the door of those teams. So that's what I'm enjoying doing. Nice. And I feel like all those years of weddings, working with big amounts of people, it transitions very well into sports because you really are like a people manager. You have to stay on time. You have to meet a deadline. And I feel like it's easy for me to get into that because it's transitioned so well from weddings into sports.
Did you provide your own prints when you did weddings? Like would people order prints from you and you would fulfill the order and ship it to them? So you're doing that now with the high school and the kids' sports and stuff.
Yep.
Are you printing those out of a lab you have at home? Or are you ordering them online?
No, I order those
from
online.
a lab?
Yeah.
Nice. Like a drop ship kind of thing?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I like it. They do
Technology's good these days.
Yeah. And you notice a lot of places are now shutting down their print labs.
Yeah.
Because people don't really print anymore.
Walmart still has one, I think.
I think they still have one. Walgreens still does it.
Is Holland Photos still open? Holland
I don't even know.
On South Lamar?
They might be. I haven't heard of that
name
in a long time.
Many years ago for film stuff.
Yeah.
Black and white stuff. And
Precision Camera still does it. They still do it. But a lot of these big companies, they're just shutting down because nobody's ordering anymore. It's all digital. Market. Everyone's all on their phone, or they don't really print them out like they used to. That was their big decision in getting rid of their printing labs because nobody's doing it anymore. Which I think there's still a lot of people that like to print.
Yeah,
I think so. But
my wife does because she does a lot of scrapbooking. So when she wants to do something or get some print, she'll order prints and stuff. But for me, it's like I have tens of thousands of photos. And I have to go on my computer or phone to look at them.
Okay.
You know, I probably ought to get something and just have them scroll. At least you can look over and see them on the wall. But
right.
Yeah, I was a big fan of digital when it happened because I'm instant gratification kind of. You can see the picture and you can learn. You can instantly learn. And I came from learning in a lab in a developing lab at ACC in black and white, and man, it's tedious work. And then you got to wait, and it didn't come out right, so you got to do it again.
Yep.
And you don't like the contrast, you don't like the brightness, you got to do it again.
Yep.
I did not miss that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was fun. It was fun to learn, but technology is good for a reason, I think.
It is. It is.
So, but it's still fun to go back there. I know people who still shoot film for fun, just for fun.
For fun. And I know some wedding photographers that do film.
Only?
Film only.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
And they love it. And the clients love it.
Yeah.
I've done, like I said, a wedding on film, and that was the first and last one, and I won't do it again. But more power to the photographer that does it, because if they love doing it, then that's what they love doing, and they enjoy it, and they look good. But a digital camera is never going to replicate what a film camera does. That's the thing. The quality is going to be different, or not quality, but just maybe the just what the image looks like. Yeah. It's got that certain look to it.
There's a depth. Like there's more of a. It feels more alive, I guess, to me when you see a real 35 millimeter print, or even a small medium format or medium large format print. I only have one experience with him. I think it was a medium format camera. That was where that black and white picture that I posted recently was taken. A friend of mine, Lance Holt, he was a photographer and took that. We were playing around with this camera one day, and every now and then I look back at that picture and I'm like, man, that guy was so unhappy.
Oh.
He was wearing a mask of faking it, but he called me when I wasn't faking it. He was just like, he took more than one picture when we were sitting there, and I took some of him too that he got developed.
Okay.
At the same time, but it's like, man, it's piercing, but it was on film, black and white film.
There you go. Yeah, I still have some black and white film in my house. My camera collection that hasn't been used. Maybe one day I'll use it, get to it. I don't know.
Do you collect old cameras too?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. How about, 70 or 80.
Oh, wow. You got a lot more than me.
Home. Yeah. They're all at home.
I probably have about 8 to 10.
8 to 10?
Maybe.
Yeah. What's your favorite one?
Gosh. Well, I have 2 Canon AE1s, and one of them I got from a client. Actually, you know what's funny? I got it from the client you referred me to out in Hudson Bend.
Okay.
A couple of years ago. They were selling for sale by owner.
Yeah. Okay, yes. I remember that.
Like $1.5 million, I think is what they were selling for. It was on the lake.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were moving to Belgium or something. They were moving overseas, and so they were selling everything.
Okay.
And they couldn't take everything with them. And he had this Canon AE1 in a camera bag with lenses and a flash, and it was just like the original old bag that he had. And he's like, I can't take it with me. I want to give it to somebody who I know will appreciate it and enjoy it. He gave it to me as a tip. I get that kind of thing.
Wow.
I've gotten gifts every now and then from clients, and that was one of them.
That's awesome.
And the other AE1 I have is my grandfather's.
Oh, nice.
And I have a picture of him wearing it around his neck at my grandmother's 50th birthday party in Lake Conroe. And those are probably because of the memories, involved with those.
Yeah.
I like those. My mother-in-law has some cameras that maybe she'll give me someday. They were her parents and grandparents.
Oh,
and things,
man.
So really old stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Brownie.
The Brownie cameras?
Yeah, some other Kodaks. And yeah, I play with them every now and then when I'm over there.
It's hard finding the film for them sometimes.
Yeah.
And the film, if you do find it, it's super expensive.
Yeah, it's mainly just a piece of art.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Which is beautiful art to me. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Old stuff, antiques.
What's funny about you mentioned the old cameras. I did show and tell and talked about what I did over here in Buda maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and brought some old cameras like Brownies and all that stuff. And so the kids are taking pictures and they're looking at the back of the camera because they think the picture is going to be right there.
Little kids do that before too. With they'll be like, "Where's the picture?" You don't get to see it.
Yeah, it's. And I'm old enough to remember the Polaroid, the instant picture coming out.
The instant gratification.
Yep, that's it.
The first taste of it.
That's it.
No going back.
No, and I remember very well dropping off a roll of film and waiting for a week or several days to pick it up.
Yeah, I
remember that. But yeah, it's cool to see where it's come along.
Where did the bug get sparked when you were a kid? Did you always take pictures when you were a kid?
So my parents had a white Polaroid camera, instant camera. It had the rainbow ribbon in the middle. You've probably seen those cameras, right? I saw it, and I remember my mom pushing that button and seeing a picture come out, and I thought, man, that's really cool. Well, back in the 80s, film was expensive then too, and not everyone just had $10 lying around to buy film, back then. And so I remember just pushing the button, just seeing all the pictures come out, and I was wasting the film. But just the sound of that and seeing that picture, I think that's really what got me.
Yeah.
And so it always stayed in the back of my mind. And I thought, well, wherever life takes me, I don't know, maybe I'll pick up photography sometime. And I finally did. But I think that's where it came from.
Nice.
Just doing that, growing up.
I think that's the best thing we can do is show people that if you really love something, you can do it.
Yeah.
And you can make it your job.
Yeah, for sure.
And it makes people happy. People love what you do. People love the pictures. You catch those moments where you can't recreate. That's one of the things that scared me about weddings is I can't go back and shoot it again if something happened.
That's very true. Yeah, once it's done, it's done. That's it.
Yeah, oops, my card got corrupted.
Yeah.
Not that did it ever happen to you in the 290 weddings?
Not a card corrupted, but I remember being at a wedding where my very early weddings, I just had one camera body. Then I had to buy another one where I would at least have two, and now I have four bodies that I could take with me if I wanted to. But I was at a wedding, and my friend was there whose wedding I had shot maybe like 4 or 5 months earlier. He says, "Hey man, what happens if your camera goes out?" And I said, "Man, don't say that." So 5 minutes later,
as I check my cameras,
5 minutes later, my camera went out, and so I had to run inside and grab a third body. Well, I had two with me, on me, and then I went back inside to put the one that had died. Like the life was already done, not the battery life, but just completely done. I used up the cameras to their
shutter count was done. It's like we're finished.
Yep, we're done. So I went inside, grabbed the other one that was newer, and that I kept shooting, of course. But it's really the only time that's ever happened where I had a camera just die on me.
But you had backup.
I had backup. Oof. Yep. Some people don't have that, and I tell people that are doing weddings, I said, look, it's important that you have two bodies because you don't know if that one's going to last. It's important you have your batteries. You have batteries charged. It's important you have more than one card.
Yeah, dual card slots are big too.
Yes. Yes,
especially for weddings.
For sure. And you have to have that just to back up everything. Going back to, finding things that we're passionate about and doing, I think that can be with anything we do. I know with photographers that I know that are just starting out, it's not going to happen right away. You have to put everything into it. What you put into it, you're going to get out of it.
Right.
You have to work hard at it because there's going to be other photographers. But how much time are you devoting to it? I think it's with any job.
Right.
If you want to be the best accountant, the best athlete, whatever you're doing, you have to put something into it. people think, oh, well, I already have it made. Well, I'm still learning.
Right.
I'm still learning about photography techniques, how to manage time, workflow, expenses, things like that. How to make
business side of things. Yeah.
How to make things better. Not just for me, but for the client.
More efficient.
Yeah. And if I'm not good at that, someone else is going to be better at that. So I have to continually be consistent at it and get better at it. I can go do sports photos, but I want to make them look different from others. That kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's with anything in life. That you have to be devoted to it and focus on it and put your heart into it. The younger photographers, like I was saying, I've had people come with me to weddings because I think weddings are a good way to learn because you're learning your camera settings. It can be in a dark area, a light area, outside, inside, whatever. You have to adapt really fast. And if you don't, you're going to miss something. So I tell them, come with me to a wedding. And I've had some come with me to a wedding and they won't do it again because they realize how much work it is. I said, yeah,
it's a lot.
Do this 4 times a week. Do this twice in a weekend. Do this 3 times in one day. I've done all that.
3 weddings in one day.
In one day. And this is
you're making me look bad.
And they weren't.
I've done 3 houses in one day.
3 houses take time.
I've done 5 houses in one day.
5 houses in one day. Houses take time too.
That's all I have time for. Yeah,
they take time.
But 3 weddings.
Yeah, they weren't
How do you
very
even
long
plan
weddings.
For that? How do you prepare for that?
1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. It's just I did it.
Like 25 batteries.
Now I do. But it's so funny. Today I was kind of doing some stats on myself, and I've done 2 weddings in the same weekend in 2 different states 3 times.
Hold on. Back up. Slow down.
Yeah.
2 different weddings in 2 days in 2 different states.
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
How far away were the states from each other?
Georgetown to Chicago, Austin to New Orleans, and then Austin to, where's the last one? Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Vegas.
Those aren't short flights.
No, they're not short flights.
Except for the New Orleans, maybe.
Yeah, this is getting done at a wedding in Georgetown, going home to Lockhart, getting on a plane early the next day, flying to Chicago, and then just shooting the wedding there. And you're working all day and you're tired, but you've got it done.
Downloading pictures on your laptop on the plane and editing while you fly.
Yep.
Working while you fly. Wow.
Yeah, I've done
That's impressive.
Done that 3 times, and I won't do that again. And of course, as I'm getting out of weddings, it's stuff I won't have to do again. But I've done it. That was my younger years. That's not
younger years.
Yeah, my
you're
younger
still 45.
Well, when I was like my 30s, 31, 32, a little bit easier. But
I was a year older than you when I went full time. I was 46.
46. Wow.
It's been almost 5 years.
Wow.
I left Lockhart Ford and went full time. I didn't give a choice to leave Lockhart Ford. They eliminated my position, but they were very nice about it. It was an internet sales manager, but and Bridget had started working there right after I did because we were working at the Littleton Group together, and then she got me the interview over at Lockhart Ford, and because she knew TJ.
Okay.
And then not long after that, she was over there working.
Oh, cool.
So we got to work together for a little bit longer again.
Awesome.
She's still there.
Yeah. And
go see Bridget at Lockhart Ford.
There you go. Bridget's a great person. Hope you get to go visit her at Ford. Did you work at the older building on San Antonio Street? No, it was just the new one.
I think it had only been open for a year or 2 when I was
okay.
I was there 2018 to 2019.
Okay,
like 11 months.
Yeah, the new one was already out there.
Yeah, the Clark family's so nice, though.
Yeah.
It was a great family. I had a great time. I learned a lot while I was there. And I think, I'll give shout out to TJ. You've met him, right?
I think so.
He's a handful, that guy.
Okay.
But he is so smart as a whip. And I learned more from him in that year about if you really want something in life, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
You have to go get it. And if you wait, somebody else is going to go get it.
Yeah.
And you're just going to be sitting there waiting for it to land in your lap. And I'm terrible when it comes to cold calling. And if you're not cold calling in the car business, you're not selling.
Right.
So I did learn that from TJ, and I got home after that day and told my wife, I think I'm going to be a full-time photographer. And she said, "Are you sure? You sure about this?" I was like, "Pretty sure."
Yeah.
So I made a list of all the realtors I knew, which was like 35. It was like I had a real estate license in '96 and I never used it.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of had been in that. I've always had an interest in that industry.
Sure.
And so I was like, I'm going to combine the two. I made that list and I said, I'm going to go for it. And I'm 46 years old and I'm going to just take a leap of faith. And for first few months, I'm like, I'm going to go drive for DoorDash. I didn't. I went down, I think it was Favor, the one that HEB bought.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Favor. Yep.
I went, applied there, went and picked up my Favor card, and I was ready to go. And I'm like, I was going to drive for a limousine company. There were some neighbors and friends in the neighborhood. And then I got too busy. I couldn't do it. I was like, okay, well, just in case I could do that.
Yeah.
And then I started coming in, and then I didn't have to worry about it.
Wow.
So I just started rolling in.
That's great.
And then it was mostly referrals, mostly just word of mouth and, social media, because realtors are all over social media. So
right.
That was an easy avenue for marketing for free.
Yeah.
Basically, just put the work out there, like put the portfolio out there, and that's your resume. So I did some for free for some clients just to get, like you said,
get your name
portfolio
out there.
And get the name out there.
Yeah.
And then started rolling in. So,
that's good.
Yeah. Hopefully it keeps going. Getting into podcasting because AI can't take over podcasting yet.
That's true.
AI is going to take over the real estate photography industry pretty soon.
It's amazing what that's doing already.
Yeah.
I mean, I see some stuff now. I'm like, is that real or is that generated?
What do you think? Is it? I mean, I think it's unstoppable at this point, just because it's unregulated.
Yeah.
And it's a Wild West, kind of like the internet at the beginning.
Yep.
Or Napster.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. Yeah. I never used that because we just didn't have an internet connection that could handle all that. Well, I don't think anybody really did unless you had broadband or whatever, but or DSL.
Oh yeah, that was back in broadband DSL days. Gosh, I remember DSL.
Yeah. I mean, we only had dial-up. That was it. I mean, somebody called and knocked you off, that kind of thing. What do I think about that? Well, like with social media, it could be good or bad.
Right.
I think it'd be good if you're trying to maybe show a client something, and try to come up with something that what they're looking for, maybe in that direction, in that way. It's pretty dangerous, and I've already heard of legislation being passed to protect people from that, because
you can do deep fakes of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures on Twitter, what was known as Twitter.
Once this is out on the internet, AI can scrub it.
Yeah.
Our voices and our faces and do a podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
It happened to Rogan already.
Oh, did it really? Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It's like a fake podcast between him and Jordan Peterson, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. But, that's the thing. It's like what you said, when the internet started, he's unregulated. And even to this day, you have the major, I don't know, Google that controls quite a bit.
Yeah, big tech.
But with AI, it is like Wild West type thing. There's legislation to protect people from being put in compromising situations, things like that, or you never know.
The thing is that legislation is only works in the United States. So
that's true.
Other people in other countries that don't have those kind of regulations, there's open end.
Yeah.
And I think even Elon Musk said we need to shut it down before it's too late, until we can get a handle on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think shutting it down.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
What can happen with that? Do I see it taking over like photography world? I think you're still gonna have the people that are gonna have to still push the button.
Yeah.
And still do it.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I really hope so too. Maybe
there are a lot of people that are already setting them up on tripods, taking the picture, and then nowadays you can just put your finger on it on your phone.
Yeah.
And it takes the person out and drops it into another background like that.
I've seen that. So
and you can do it on Photoshop, of course, too, but not even the iPhone can do it. Just out of the photo app in the iPhone, you can do it.
Oh, wow.
I can take a picture of you, and I can hold my finger down on you, and it'll separate you from everything else, and I can copy it and put it into anything. It's just you, and I can put it on a different background from my phone.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I still remember the old Qualcomm phones, the huge brick phones. When I was a teenager, I got one of those, and that's so much different now.
With that rubber antenna that was
there you
as
go.
tall as that bottom.
That's right. That's right. 100 minutes for 30 minutes for $100 a month or something like that. Oh, man,
when you get your AOL disc in the mail, you get your 5 minutes of internet.
There you go.
You can check your email.
That's right. That's right. I think I probably have a few of those discs in my collection somewhere.
I bet they're worth some money on eBay.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just as a treasure.
They sell all kinds of things on eBay.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll sell these vintage clocks at antique stores. Not clocks, but phones with a cord. Yeah. I remember using that, and it's already in an antique store.
Yeah, attached to the wall phone.
Yep. We had one of those mustard yellow ones in our house. I grew up in a trailer house, and that's what we had. It matched the kitchen.
And the cord went from the kitchen to the bedroom, like a 100-foot cord.
Yep.
You could go through the whole place.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. I remember those days very, very well.
So what's in store for 2024? What do you got coming up?
A lot of sports. My wife and I are still doing traveling. She has a bucket list of states still, and
you're trying to hit all 50?
We are trying to hit all 50. I think she's 14 short.
Oh, wow.
I'm about 16 short. So we are going to Missouri and almost said Alaska. We did Alaska last year. Arkansas. Missouri and Arkansas next month.
You going to go to Branson?
I think we're staying near there. Yeah. I've never been to Missouri or Arkansas. We wanted to go to Arkansas a few years ago, but I think at that time it was going to be icy. So we said, no, let's not do that. In October, I believe we're going to New England. Now, she's been to Maine, but I've never been to Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, nowhere up there. I've been in New York, but that's it. And so she wants to do that.
For the leaf change?
Yes. Yeah, she got to do that last time. She got to pick apples.
Oh, cool.
And she went to Massachusetts as well. But I've never been up there. And then I think in the summertime, we're going to the Redwoods.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I've been to California. We went to Santa Monica because we drove from Vegas. We were with my wife's sister and her husband. And so we drove from Vegas to Los Angeles, Santa Monica, saw the Hollywood sign, all that stuff. And then Santa Monica, I've heard it was beautiful. And I think it is, but it was a gray, rainy day. So we didn't really get to see that beautiful California weather you hear people talk about. And then we drove back and went to Utah, went to Zion and Bryce Canyon, which were beautiful.
Yeah.
But she wants to go see the Redwoods. So we're going to go do that as well this year.
Giant trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Alaska was beautiful. We loved Alaska. We would go back.
My wife went a little over a year ago on a cruise, the Alaska cruise thing.
That's what we did. That was fun.
It's probably the same one, I guess.
Maybe so, but it's beautiful up there. It's like
she came back with COVID. All of them came back with COVID, I think.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, we haven't been struck with any kind of sicknesses coming when we've traveled.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. I'm glad. Because I hear a lot of that happens when you travel.
Floating incubator. But it's a lot of fun. I've been on a cruise twice, and she's been 4 times now.
Okay.
So,
Was Alaska her favorite one?
I don't know. She just came back from the Bahamas and Jamaica and Haiti. Okay. But our honeymoon was probably the favorite, or the best one.
That's great.
Just the two of us went on that one. And then we took our kids and my mother-in-law on the same cruise in 2018. So we did it again, which was Cozumel and Yucatan.
Yeah. Been there before.
That was a good time.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. I shot a wedding in Playa del Carmen.
Oh, fun.
It was amazing on the sand. The funniest thing about that, maybe not the funniest thing, but it's a very popular place for tourists from overseas, from Europe. And I remember shooting the wedding, and the altar was right there on the beach. It's a public beach, so people can walk anywhere they want to. People in Speedos walking behind the altar, yeah. So
during the wedding?
During the wedding. And I probably have some pictures. I'm like, man, this is crazy. This should not be happening. And I know it's a public beach, But if you see a wedding going on, wouldn't you think maybe walk around?
Yeah, behind.
Or behind, whatever.
Behind all the people.
Yeah. Back the other way, yeah. And so I remember seeing the hotel staff go out and put like these barriers for people to go around the other way. I'm like, God, this is crazy. But
how funny.
Yeah. Something different.
Yeah, it is different.
Different experience.
Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice you give to the younger generation?
Yeah, that's...
Because you work with the younger generation all the time. So you see kids who are from all walks of life and from all circumstances. And
Yep. That's a lot of... There's a lot of answers I could give to that.
Top three. I would say learn as much as you can. Mm-hmm. Never stop learning.
Never stop learning. As much as you can. Find out what you want to do in life. Even if you don't go into it, think about a backup plan. And it's okay to work. I'd say that.
Yeah.
It is okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I love working. I mean, I love getting to do what I do. And even if I wasn't doing this, I still love working because I think that... Well,
idle hands are the devil's tool, right?
Well, I've heard that. And I think if you're just sitting there not doing anything, I think a lot of people think, oh, that person's being lazy and not doing anything for the world or whatever. But you're not doing anything for yourself.
Right. You're not fulfilling your purpose.
Right. And I think everyone has a purpose. I think everyone has something in them that they can do. And when I was growing up, my dad was a janitor at a school. And what I told my mom, I said, I want to go to college to be a janitor. Okay. But I saw how hard he worked. And I thought, well, what's wrong with that? What if you become someone who's great at, what if you're the head of waste management? What if you're the head of something else? A cleaning service, a multi-million-dollar cleaning service, whatever. You're going to find something to do. And if you have that purpose, I think everyone can reach what they want to do, but you have to work at it. It's not going to just fall into your lap.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think, what is it? You hear it sometimes in church. And I really think it's a big mistake when you hear this, where, I don't have to I can just sit back and God will do it for me. Well, you still need to do something.
Right.
You can't, I'm not
you
saying
have to move. God wants you to move.
Yes. You can't just sit there and not do something. If I was going to do what I'm doing now, I couldn't have done it just sitting there and just waiting for God to send me business.
Right.
I had to put my work into it. And if I didn't do that, then I couldn't be where I am now without that. I think with the younger generation, I think sometimes they see the things on social media and it gets them distracted. They get influenced by the wrong people.
That's intentional.
Yes, I think it is. And I think sometimes they see it and they think, oh, that's going to be me too. And they don't get there and they become discouraged. And when you become discouraged, it can be very hard. You can fall off really bad. Or or you'll just say, okay, it wasn't for me. Then you get back up and keep going. But there's a lot of that happens, and they get discouraged. And I think that's sad to see that. I think the other thing too is with learning, yes, you're going to learn at school, but learn outside of school.
Right. Absolutely.
Pick up a book, read something online, research something online. My wife and I will talk about different things, and it's because of when she'll ask me a question about something, and I say, oh yeah, I've read about this. And I've read about that. Or she'll ask me about something else. I said, no, I don't know anything about that, but I can start reading about it.
Right.
And I start
it
learning.
Sparks your interest.
Yeah. So let me find out about that.
I love learning about new stuff.
Yeah.
I've never even thought about.
Yeah. It's just even things that might not even use. I'll just learn about it just so I know about it. And I think that's the one thing that I got growing up. I used to watch these documentaries. I was like 6, 7 years old.
I was going to ask you, do you like documentaries?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of documentaries.
That's what I grew up watching. I'd always ask my mom, I want to watch that because I want to learn. Well, it's helped me out later on in life to learn about history or whatever. And And so that's one thing with younger generation. Learn as much as you can, even if it's something that you're not going to use. Learn about it. Listen to your elders. I mean, if I'm going to show my age or whatever, 45 years old, that's what I did. You know, they may not always be right, but listen. They probably have some good advice.
There's some wisdom in there.
There's some wisdom there. They've been through something. You know, I've been through stuff. I hope I can share that with other people, with younger people. Hey, don't do it like this because I did it like that. It was a big mistake.
Right.
Do it this way. And just keep learning, keep growing. Don't be discouraged. It's going to happen, yes, but don't stay in it. Keep going. You know, that kind of thing. Keep your head up. I tell that all the time with photographers. You're not going to always get it right.
Yeah.
It's a learning process.
Right.
And you're going to keep growing if you keep doing it. I'm still learning.
It changes every time you pick up the camera. It's different.
It's different. You know, I'm going to learn how to do different things. So that's what I tell them. I don't have it made. I'm still learning. So I want you to keep doing that too. You keep learning. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. That's why, you know, they're digital now, you know, you can do it over again or whatever. Yeah. But and with what I would tell people for the younger generation about relationships, get to know yourself first. You know, don't rush into things. Yes, I get it. It's high school. Yes, there's those Valentine's things and all. I get that. I get all that. That's fine. It's part of growing up. But when you graduate, you know, go to college or find something you want to do, get into that. And then those other things start coming into place. They start coming into your life without you really having to do anything. Sometimes if you're just working on something or working on yourself, sometimes these things come up to you and they have these doors open for you. And I really believe God is wanting to bless you with that. But I think there's that it's so important to make yourself a priority, as in getting to know who you are before including someone else into that.
I like it.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very good.
Well, thank you, James.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming all the way out here. It's a little bit of a drive and get you home before dark, maybe.
I'm ready for the sun to be out a little bit
Me
later
too.
now.
I don't like this time of year. I like it to be dark at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
Yeah.
You know what was crazy about...
I like to finish the day longer.
What was crazy about Alaska, it was getting dark at 10:30 at night. And the sun was coming up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was like, this is weird.
I could get down with that.
Could you?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. But it's too cold up there.
Yeah, it is cold.
I mean, I like sunny weather. Austin's good.
Yeah.
Austin's good weather.
I don't like when it's hot.
It gets pretty brutal in the summer, but you know, when you're our age, you get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, "Oh, it's so hot here in the summer." It's like, how many summers you been here? All of them.
That's true. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet.
Thank you.